So we're going to start with our vinyl by wrapping this around our tumbler. So I have my 12 by 12 sheet of vinyl that I went ahead and trimmed down, and then now what I'm going to do is peel part of the backing of the vinyl off first. You can use scissors to cut it properly, or you can just tear it like I did here. Then I am going to align it on my tumbler, and I'm going to press down the portion of the vinyl that I removed the backing on, and then we're going to use a squeegee tool, just making sure that the vinyl is laying flat and that there are no air bubbles when we are rolling our vinyl on. Now we're just going to remove that excess vinyl, so I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife and just trim off the top. And then for the bottom of the tumbler, this part is up to you. If you want your vinyl to overhang, you can absolutely do that and wrap it around the bottom of your tumbler. However, I went ahead and used my trimming tool and I just cut a thin, small line around the bottom of my tumbler, nice and even. Don't forget to use your weeding pin, or you can use your same X-Acto just to make sure if you have any air bubbles that you do pop those and flatten that out with the squeegee just to remove the air. Then of course we're just going to use our cup chuck to attach this to our turner and hold it nice and level while we're applying our epoxy. So I went ahead and mixed up 10 milliliters each part A and B epoxy. I am using Fast Set. You can of course use any epoxy of your choice. However, for this particular technique, I do recommend working with a thicker epoxy like Fast Set because this is really going to help with the flow during this next process here. So I'm going to start by applying my epoxy all over the tumbler, including the bottom, which has not been decorated. We have not done anything, so it is still just the stainless steel. So I'm just going to apply a thin layer. You don't need a too thick of layer because we are going to be applying more epoxy here in just a moment. Once you've got that coat on, I am now going to mix two different mica colors. This color here is Angel from simplistic Mica, and it is such a beautiful, pretty dark red. So I'm going to mix that color with Romeo, which is a very shiny, coppery gold. So I'm going to mix those two mica powders directly into my remaining epoxy, and it's going to give me this really pretty bronze color. Then we're just going to mix that together. You want to make sure you mix it really good so you don't have any clumps of mica. And then I'm just going to use this little silicone stir stick and I'm just kind of gonna drizzle the epoxy on. You don't want too thick of lines here, so I'm just going kind of light, and then I'm going to take the remaining epoxy and I'm going to make sure that I do the bottom of the tumbler as well as that ring of stainless on the bottom. So when you're going around the bottom ring of your tumbler, if you did leave that stainless exposed like I did here, I am just kind of adding a thicker amount of the epoxy, and I'm not worried about going in a straight line because I am going to blend everything together here in a minute. So I just kind of applied a thicker amount towards the bottom of that tumbler. Now I'm just going to use my heat gun real quick just to kind of warm it up to get the epoxy flowing and moving. We don't want too much movement here, so don't heat up your tumbler for too long because this will cause the mica to run, which is not what we are going for here. However, that would be the technique that you would do if you were trying for a Milky Way. Now I'm just going in with my toothpick and I'm just kind of spreading the mica around. I don't want big clumps here and I don't want the mica to overshadow my vinyl, so I don't want too much in one place. So I'm just kind of using the toothpick just to spread it around a little bit, and then we'll use a gloved finger just to kind of brush it onto the tumbler to give it that rustic look. For this step here, you do want to be careful that you're not applying too much or that you're rubbing it in too much, because then it will cover the entire vinyl, which is why I did it the way that I did. So I applied a little heavier on the mica side towards the bottom of my tumbler, and then just in certain spots, and then I'm just kind of brushing the rest of the mica onto my tumbler to give it a rustic patina type look. Don't forget to use your torch to pop any of those micro bubbles, and then we are going to let that cure. Now this step is completely optional. I love the look of the shiny gloss finish on this tumbler. However, I did want to see what it looked like matte, and I ended up loving the results, so that is how I kept it. So to matte it, I am using Simply Matte from CCDIY, and I am using a steel wool pad. Now you can use a magic eraser, however with the Simply Matte, it does not scratch your tumbler at all, I've found, and using the steel wool instead of the magic eraser does require a little less elbow grease. Now you're still definitely going to get a bit of an arm workout in, so the way that I found to do it the easiest is I am just using my steel wool and the Simply Matte, and I'm just going to rub it in a circular motion all over my tumbler. Make sure you give that a good scrub. Then I'm just going to add a little bit of water, and I'm going to continue scrubbing it for about another 2 to 3 minutes. It really just depends on how tough that you are rubbing it, how much you're adding to your tumbler while you're scrubbing, and then once you've got it's smoothed down enough, you're just going to rinse it off, and then you'll keep sanding it down or scrubbing it down until it is the matte finish that you like. Now, if you decide that the matte finish is not for you and you like it glossy, you can always go back in and add another coat of epoxy. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more fun crafty tutorials, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. All links to the products that I used in this video and special discount codes will be in the description down below.